Hey Kevin, more than a decade in Google, and I'm sure it's been an interesting ride being in Google. But if you were to teach me something like an insight, specifically on innovation, maybe, especially what kind of insights can you give me in terms of how Google is innovated and how we too can learn to be innovative like Google?
Yeah, Google is one of these really crazy places to work at. All the things you've heard of, it's probably true. But what we are is we really focus on our user, right? We know what our users want. We usually have a mission that we subscribe to. It's something that drives the company to kind of innovate, be the best in technology, be the best in what we do, make sure that we ground ourselves in our users and make sure that they get value out of all the products that we create at the
So
end of the
the
day.
users drive innovation.
Correct.
Essentially. How does that
Yes.
work?
Yeah, there's a lot of things we do at the end of the day. I mean, we connect with our users quite on a very regular basis, whether it's user research, outreach, and stuff like that. We make sure we are hyper focused in terms of how we develop a product. We also use a lot of data. Data drives a lot of our growth, our innovation, how we change. We see trends, we see how things go and move with the times, and we also change along with that.
And is that how you find problems to solve?
Yes, I think very often companies neglect looking at the data. Data gives you a lot of insights into where the growth areas are, where the problem areas are, and if you have a good way or analytics to look into things, that gives you the opportunity to actually look into improvements you can make or problems that you don't necessarily realize at the end of the day that come up that you can solve because you have that insight into where the problem areas are.
But a lot of companies try to be innovative and they try these approaches. Let's look at data. Let's get data scientists and all these things. But Google has this culture of people that just come in. They somehow become a lot more innovative. How is that sustained to some extent?
Yeah, I think there's also a bit of Google where we embrace failure, right? It might not be the common norm here or culturally accepted here. I have no idea. I've never really worked a lot in Malaysia, but at Google, we do embrace failure quite a bit. In fact, we share a lot of our problems that we've gone through, mistakes that we've made, and the reason why we do that is to make sure that not only you learn from your mistakes, we also let other people see the mistakes we make so that they don't make the mistakes as well. So we do embrace failure. We have a very scrappy way of solving problems. Instead of trying to be perfect all the time, we try to prototype and try to start off small in a very scrappy manner. And then if it takes off, then you put more resources behind it. Because if you try to build something perfect at the end of the day, you might have spent too much time and too much resources, and then everything falls apart, and you just wasted a lot of time. Right?
Okay, final piece of advice. If a company is striving to be like Google, wanting to be innovative and wanting to be a king in their domain, what sort of advice would you give to somebody?
Yeah, innovation is a very interesting thing. I think the biggest thing is what's the mission of your company, right? What are you trying to solve and what you're trying to drive at the end of the day? If you're not the market mover, like you're coming from behind, there's a lot of opportunity to innovate. But if you're market leader and up front, you can also compete against yourself and always try to make things better at the end of the day.
Oh.
So you do have to understand the realm and market that you're in, and that's the way you can actually figure out where the industry would go, whatever field you're in, and try to innovate to make things better at the end of the day. Because nothing's perfect, and you can always be better at what you do at the end of the day.
All right, Kev. Thanks a lot. Appreciate your time.